See, it already starts.
You're gonna introduce.
Yeah. Calm down, Jess.
Yeah. Well, we just are so thankful that you guys are willing to do this and that our church gets to just see your faces and hear a bit about you. For those who don't know, this is PJ and Ash Smyth, and is it Ashley or Ash?
Yeah, Ash is good. It is Ashley, but
okay.
Ash is good.
Cool.
What does PJ stand for?
Peter John. My parents, I think they had a conflict, and they thought easiest way to solve the conflict is call them both. So my first name is Peter John,
Nice.
and then I have a middle name Jackson and last name Smyth. But I'm oversharing. You probably stick with PJ.
What's your name? Well, let me tell you.
Enough about me. Let me tell you about my long name.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good way. Just like maybe get into telling us a bit about yourselves and your story. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've been married in 15 days time. We will have been married 27 years.
Wow, congrats.
Awesome. Yeah, so it's more years together now than it was apart.
Yeah.
And we've got 3 sons who are 22, 20 and 17. So one is a senior at school and one is a senior at college, and they're awesome. The oldest one's just got engaged.
Nice.
And, we have lived in 3/4 countries.
Yeah, I was born in the UK, but we met living in Zimbabwe when our family moved to Zim. So we lived in Zimbabwe, got married there, then moved to South Africa, and now live in the greater DC area in America. So I've lived in 4 different countries, and Ash 3.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. So can you tell us a little bit of what brought you from South Africa then to DC?
Yeah. So we were high school teachers in Zimbabwe after we got married, and then we jumped into planting a church. We could hardly spell church, but we thought we want to lead one of those. And we were young and dumb, and God graciously helped us through. So that we planted and led a church that became churches in Harare, Zimbabwe. Yeah. Then moved to Johannesburg and lived there for 14 years, where the same thing happened by God's grace. We started a church called God First, became multi-congregations as a deliberate mechanism to church plants. So those congregations became churches. And once we'd lived in Joburg for 14 years and planted 7 or so churches around that city, as well as elsewhere in South Africa, we felt open to the Lord. What's the next assignment? And we thought it was going to be somewhere else in South Africa, or maybe the UK, because I'm a Brit. And whilst we were seeking God on that move, unexpected invitation came from a church called Covenant Life Church in Gaithersburg, in the Maryland suburbs of DC, that would I consider taking over from the senior pastor there. And we took 18 months to decide, but we felt it was the right thing to do. And so we moved and did 2 years at Covenant Life Church. And then us, with the blessing of the elders, planted out this church called Monument Church that we now lead. And its Monument's been going 2 years.
Cool.
Nice.
And note to self, try not to plant a church in a pandemic season in future.
Yeah. Lessons learned. Yeah.
Oh man.
Could you tell us a bit about Monument and what you guys are about there?
Yeah.
Yeah. We've been going for 2 years, probably about 200 people, but it's difficult to tell in a pandemic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We have actually recently, during the pandemic, started meeting in 2 different locations.
Oh, okay.
We've got about probably 30 or 40 people who come down from a town just north of us, 30 minutes away, called Frederick. Mm-hmm. And when we were looking for venues to meet, we meet in a school. Mm-hmm. And obviously when all the schools shut down, we weren't allowed to meet there anymore. And once lockdown had finished and we opened up, we thought, let's see if we can meet in different places. So we ended up meeting in someone's backyard, which was great. But actually we found another venue in this town, Frederick, because of these other sort of 30 or 40 people coming in. We thought, well, let's meet up there for them. Their county had less restrictions than ours.
And we were really wanting to meet in smaller numbers to make it all COVID safe. So we started a meeting, and it's great. And we were up we had 70 plus people there a few days ago. So we think it's evolving from a second Sunday meeting to an actual congregation. So we're putting a leadership team together and trying to get more organized.
That's amazing.
That's great.
Yeah. And it's a great church. a lot of the people had come across with us from Covenant Life and are like really mature in faith. We've got lots of amazing mothers and fathers in the faith. So it's it's been an unusual plant and different than we've done before, but
ethnically diverse, which is a value for us, and we're in a wonderfully diverse county. And our vision is 3 P's: to point people to Jesus, to plant churches in the greater DC area, and to push back darkness in its various forms.
Cool. Love
That's
that.
great.
And that church would be a part of Advance, right? So that's what we're talking about lately in our community, is what would it look like to be a part of Advance, which you guys lead. And could you share just a bit about, your heart and vision for churches partnering together? I mean, it sounds like that's happening obviously in Monument, but then beyond, how does that look?
Yeah, love to. So our kind of convictions about it are twofold. Firstly, and most importantly, or most weightily, we see New Testament churches partnering together in all sorts of different ways. And the zoomed in, the close-up view we get in the New Testament is really Paul and men and women that he worked with. That little team partnering together and helping other churches to partner together, and money flowed between churches. People moved from churches to other churches to help start churches. People went on short, medium, and long-term trips to strengthen churches in different places. So it's actually quite fun when you reread the New Testament with that filter of churches in partnership together and individuals helping churches partner. It comes alive. So it's very much there in Scripture. And then our second sort of part of the why we do it is because we've had such a wonderful experience over the 25 years that we've started and led churches, of being in meaningful partnership, not claustrophobically close, but meaningful, healthy, joyful, voluntary partnership with other churches, not just around the same city or nation as us, but across the nation. So we've been very blessed with our experience there. And particularly, in the last 8 or so years that Advance has been going, although I have the privilege of leading the team that leads Advance, when we're wearing our church leader, local church hat, it's like we're so grateful to be caught up with friends on mission, but doing it as friends, friends and family. And we've got a couple of strap lines that we lean hard on in Advance because they've just been helpful to us, sort of pithy sayings. And the first is, let's do it again. Let's do the book of Acts again. And Acts is just 28 chapters long. It spans 30 years. And this group of very ordinary people, empowered by the Lord, in faith in the Lord, planted many, many churches and strong churches. So we dream about what the next 30 years could look like. And Tom and Jess, you're younger than us. You've probably got 2 books of Acts, or at least a book and a half left in you. We might be into our last book of Acts, but imagine 30 years, what could we achieve? We think we're better together. That's not rocket science, is it? That's like a creation principle, not just a biblical principle, but we're better together. And planting and strengthening is another phrase we love. Every page in the book of Acts is either a church being started or strengthened, and often both happening on the same page. And so that's simply our mission, to help to work with one another to start or plant more churches, and also to be really intentional, but as I said, not claustrophobic, about strengthening each other. All of the churches in Advance have strengths, and we want them to use those strengths to help strengthen other churches. And we've all got weaknesses, and we can draw so much from individuals and from other churches to muscle up in the areas that we're a bit weak.
That's awesome.
Great. Yeah.
And how many countries are Advanced Church partnerships happening?
Good question. I'm not sure on countries, but I can tell you continents.
Okay.
So these are plus minus figures, but we've got about 30 churches in North America.
Cool.
That's US and Canada. Woo!
Yeah.
About 20 plus 25 in UK, Europe. It used just to be Europe, but now UK's leaving the European Union. About 50 in Africa. particularly Southern Africa, South Africa, Madagascar, Tanzania, Kenya. There's a really good thing happening in East Africa, which is sort of halfway up Africa to the east, obviously. And then about 40 or so churches in India and Nepal, who we didn't plant all of those. We've helped them plant some more, but they kind of came in as a group. It's awesome. They're just amazing. Man, we are so enriched culture to culture. The Brits are stronger at some things, the Americans are stronger, the Africans are stronger, the Asians are stronger, and it's just so good to draw on one another's strengths. And then we've got a church in Thailand and a church in Australia, so early beginnings there, but
all over the world.
Worries. Yeah
Beautiful.
I love it with Advance, just the blessing of being part of a local body, a local church, the blessing of relationship and family. And I think particularly in the pandemic, we've all felt the benefit that as Christians, we're made to be together, we're made to be family, and the blessing of a local church. And being part of a wider family is kind of that to a church, just the blessing, the comfort, the help, the encouragement, all the things that we need in relationship, we as a church receive from being part of a wider family as well. And
I mean, guys, even I know we're just getting to know each other. I mean, we already know each other a bit personally, but in terms of Advance and your church and so on, but just you guys did a Zoom to with a bunch of Advance leaders recently, and I texted you. I don't know if you got that text, just saying, man, the warmth in the room, and you just telling a bit of your story and some of the things you're doing as a church and stuff you're working through personally and as a church. It was strengthening and uplifting to us, in a remarkable way. So that tiny little cameo of partnership, just was really meaningful.
And that's without even being able to be properly together.
I mean, we told our church, like, we're looking to partner and have a bit more meaningful relationship with you guys, and you kind of know, you guys know what's been going on. And I just wondered if I know people have been praying for our community, and I just wondered if you had anything, just an encouragement or anything you sense God is saying, just to kind of speak over our whole church rather than just us as
so glad you asked. I do have 3 quick things. Just 3 quick things. The first is we've been in seasons of church life like you're in. I mean, we don't know everything about your season, but I think you're in such a key and exciting season of alignment, fresh alignment. And we're both in midlife now, and every few years or few months we have to get our backs cricked and just things aligned, get the body aligned. And when the body's aligned, it moves easier. And so we just want to say, keep going in that. It's healthy and it's right to have seasons of fresh alignment. Secondly, as I was just preparing myself for this interview, I just felt the Lord wanted to encourage you to make radical the new normal. I'm sure you're doing that, so may that be an encouragement. But just for each of you individually, church can be so comfortable, can't it, in your context and our context, and we need to fight to make radical the new normal. And then thirdly, family and army. These little phrase ands are so helpful, aren't they? Word and spirit. And I just felt to encourage you with family and army. We can be both. We can be really loving and really on mission.
That's great.
That's so awesome. Good. That's so encouraging, guys. Thank you so much. I don't know, do you have any other questions? I mean, we could sit and talk to you guys all day.
I'm like, God, I love this. Just getting to know you, and just, it feels already so encouraging, just this connection, even in this conversation, like how we're meant to do this together, and we're meant to, learn from each other and grow together. And I'm just, I'm really excited, and I'm so appreciative of you guys and your churches, and it's just good what God's doing. So,
we're so glad that the Lord has caused our paths to cross, and it would be our absolute privilege to join in your story and help you forward and work with you in helping plant and strengthen churches elsewhere. So
awesome.
We'll just trusting for all of that, but much love to you guys.
Thank you so much. And we'll have you up here once the borders are open, and
yes,
whenever you want to come up. So But anyways, thank you guys so much. And
great to see you guys. God bless you all.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.